Alrighty, what is quacking, everyone? Today I'm here with the Dualie Squelchers, custom Dualie Squelchers, and then vanilla Dualie Squelchers. These weapons have a nice bit of range for Dualies, but they are incredibly ink hungry. So they're pretty fun to use. I use them a little bit every now and then, and my luck varies with these weapons. So there's that. But before we get any further, make sure to subscribe. It's free, and if you subscribe, I will tell my uncle who works at Nintendo to nerf the weapon that you hate the most in Splatoon. Now, these weapons, super fun, fantastic, amazing weapons. Not too bad. I wouldn't say they're like super top tier or anything, but like they add flavor to the game. Now, for game modes, they definitely cover basically everything that you need in each game mode. Each has their applications that you can use. Like for tower, VDS has bomb, so you can throw your bomb on the tower. It has wave breaker, so you can use wave breaker to cover things. And also because of their range, it's very good to apply pressure from a distance to tower. And then CDS has chumpus wumpuses and beacons, so you can place down your beacons. And you know, your teammates can jump near or around tower for better positioning to like try and capture tower. So there is that. And then for zones, you have again wave breaker, bomb, very solid for zones, or beacon to get back to zones faster. And then chumpus wumpus, which does paint. And then rainmaker, you can use chumps to cover an area. Same thing with wave breaker. They both kind of serve a similar purpose where you can apply pressure to the enemy team and try to like make them have to move weird for their pathing or whatever, and the chumps are a disruptor. And then clams, you can use chumps to go in, wave breakers to help distract the enemy a little bit. So overall, they can cover all the game modes pretty swell. Now, I phoned another friend for this. I will link her in the description. She's a retired comp player, Jazzocorn. She was the best junior in NA in Splatoon 2. Then she had a weapons crisis, and then she used the VDS a lot. So I phoned her for help, and she so kindly gave me some explanations and some builds that she was cooking up. So this is the first build that she had. Come back with some special saver, ink res, super jump, a full pure of QR, and then some intensify action. And as you see, intensify action, it goes from 8 degrees jump shot to 5.66. It's very useful for when you're moving around a lot. And then obviously, if you're going in and dying a lot, you want to be able to have your special up a little faster. And then there's the ink res and the super jump. And then you're gonna have like a 5.3 respawn timer instead of the 7.5, which is amazing. And then also there's an LDE one that she gave me that she'll use for zones at times. And here is her explanation for this. I die a lot, so I play around the comeback to have some ink efficiency and kind of play around those 20 seconds or whatever it is. I think it's like 30-ish. Yeah, 20 seconds. So the 20 seconds of buffs, just to be careful when it's not active, because the weapon is ink hungry. As I stated earlier, it's a super ink hungry weapon. You're gonna like run out of ink a lot if you're not being careful with what you're doing. And the ink hunger of this weapon is kind of where I struggled playing in my games for the most part. Is I would really try and balance my bombs to shooting ratio and trying to like get my ink back up, but I struggle with that immensely, and I sometimes would lose fight because it would just say out of ink. But anyways, continuing, occasional times zones usually, but then again I still don't use it much. I switched comeback out for LDE. You know, LDE is good for zones if you're losing, or you could use it for, you know, tower obviously when the enemy team brings their objective down to a certain threshold, or you're in the last 30 seconds of the match. LDE will kick in, so you'll have better ink recovery and you'll have sub saver and everything, so it's super useful for that. She also gave me some haunt builds as well, so comeback with haunt, or if you don't want to run comeback and you want more QR, you can swap out the comeback with QR and then haunt, or you can also swap out the quick super jump with QR as well. So you have basically everything's the same across the board numbers wise. She basically kind of balanced it to keep similar numbers throughout the entire build, so there's a consistency with the numbers and how the build feels with this weapon, which is pretty nice on her part, adjusting the builds to how she needs them and how they help her feel. And that's kind of like the themes with all the weapons, is play the weapons how you want to play them with the type of abilities you use. These are like really solid abilities for going in and slaying and being aggressive, although you do again suffer from ink efficiency, because that's again what I suffered with. She sent me her builds and I was using them for this footage, and there's sometimes throughout this footage where I'm struggling with my ink. It will say no ink and I just die, which is unfortunate. And then her explanation for Haunt is, I'm not really a Haunt fan anymore, but this usually is what I go for if I want it. I think VDS can get away with no stealth if you're careful, and you have dodge rolls out of jump, which is nice. If not, just run, no comeback, and run stealth. This has no ink efficiency though, so you're going to be struggling without comeback and no ink efficiency is what she's saying here. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind when you're moving around with the weapon if you choose to run something like this. And then she gave me a more supportive build, which is LDE and then 3 subs of Ink Saber main, swim speed with intensify action, and stealth jump with utilities. And basically everything is kind of the same across the board, except, you know, you don't have any QR, so you're not really going to be going in there and slaying and shooting people and doing a bunch of things that you would normally do with the other builds. So this build is basically based on how you're going to play the game. So you're going to be more supportive, hanging back, painting, applying pressure with bombs and wave breakers, and being supportive to your main slayers with this build. So when I saw her with the 3 subs of Ink Saber main, I asked her, so the 3 subs of Ink Saber main, is that optimal for ink efficiency? Like how in Splatoon 2 people would run 2 subs of Ink Saber main on machine, like, you know, I run also 2 subs on paintbrush, which I think is useful. And she said, yeah, basically that support build was her old Forge build back when she put 1 sub of sub res, but it's kind of useless in the game, so I just replaced it with an extra Ink Saber main, which that does help for this weapon because it is super ink hungry, so that's very useful. And that's where it kind of ends here for the most part on Jazz's behalf. I thank Jazz so much for the help with this. She doesn't really play CDS yet. She hasn't really worked on builds for that, but she did send me this. She said, I don't play CDS yet. I'm stealing Max's build, Max SPL. He's a pro player who's also in the community. I'll link his stuff as well since she's stealing from him. But it probably runs something like this. So come back with 2 sub power-ups, tier of quick respawn, and stealth jump with 2 subs of intensify action, and then ink res and QSJ. So, you know, instead of the 5.66 for intensify action, you have 8 degrees to 6 degrees, and then you're not really going to feel the -1 sub too much for the most part. It still is a nice help to lower your jump shot accuracy, which is nice. But then obviously you have the same amount of quick respawn, 5.3 seconds, and then you have, instead of some other stuff, you have the sub power up for beacons. So, you know, you have the boosted action power, ability power, whatever you want to call it, AP, and that's really helpful for beacons. And then here's where I start to pitch in my stuff. I was working on CDS stuff, so it's basically similar to what Jazz was building previously, except I swapped, you know, obviously some of the subs out. So instead of the 3 intensify actions, just one of them is gone. 4 sub power up, which is very nice. And then instead of special saber, it's another sub power up for the beacons. So you have all that. And then this is with Haunt as well. So you have Haunt on there with QR, stealth jumps, and intensify action. So it's just kind of like a mix of what Jazz was doing and then stuff from Max's build as well. So I just kind of combine that together into this. And then something I was kind of thinking of is, like, if you want to run special power up for the chumps to give them damage distance and paint radius, you can. I have it on the screen with 2 with markers. The single one is the one for just a main, and then the one with 2 markers is just 2 subs if you want to swap out. Maybe you don't feel like running intensify action, swap that out, or you don't care about beacons that much, you swap out the sub power up. So you can absolutely do that and swap those out if that's what you want to do. If you want to, you know, utilize CDS to just kind of focus on chumps and be annoying with chumps, you can. And maybe, you know, you want to add some special saver, or maybe some special charge and some ink saver main. If you want to play it more supportive, you can do that. So if you want to run like special charge up, special saver, you know, QR, maybe it's like an LDE and some special power up, you can just focus on chump support and, you know, work a build around that as well. And then also something I didn't mention is because this weapon's so ink hungry, some people are just flat out running like a main of ink saver main. You can absolutely do that as well if you so choose to. So that's like totally up to you. So basically, like, this is like, you know, something, if you're running support CDS, this would be something that, you know, you could definitely do. You know, you got your LDE special power up, so you can just focus on chumps, beacons, and just be super annoying just by painting a bunch. And obviously, you know, you still have to be careful of ink management because it is still an ink hungry weapon and you have no ink saver main on this. So it's an option that you could do if you just want to be super supportive chumps and kind of be in like an outside radius of everything and just be kind of annoying. And then also if you're just looking for like an aggressive build with ink saver main and you like, you know, you want to run a main of ink saver main, here it is. It helps if like this is something that some people are doing, and just run some subs of QR. It's not the same amount of QR, but it still helps. So just trying to give y'all an idea of things to run. So, you know, if you want to run main of ink saver main, just trying to bring some representation. Like, this can work for both dualies if you so choose to. It's up to you and your preference with your subs and everything. But that's going to be it for the Dualie Squelchers. Huge thanks to Jazz for helping me with this. She's awesome. Remember, go look at her too after everything. So, you know, she's great. She's awesome. And yeah, that's it for the Dualie Squelchers. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.